Hey everyone. This is a tough one, so if you're not up for the subject matter, please don't watch or just move on. Um, it gets a little rough. Okay, so Rodney Stafford wrote an open letter to Justin Trudeau, and I'll read it, and I'll read some history about why he's maybe writing that letter, and we'll watch Mr. Trudeau defend what he's done. Dear Mr. Trudeau, my name is Rodney Stafford, father of kidnapped, raped, and murdered 8-year-old Victoria Elizabeth Marie Stafford. I plead to you as a father and proud Canadian citizen who, even after this traumatic experience, tries to live a normal tax-paying life. I really have to question our federal government as to why convicted child murderers such as Terry Lynn McClintic deserve more rights than their victims and law-abiding Canadians. I may not have grown up living a perfect life, but I grew up to learn that I love the country I live in, and I know right from wrong. It is a safe and beautiful country. Now I see so many hearts breaking because people are no longer feeling safety and reassurance within our laws. This is an ever-changing world that hosts a whole new world of manipulative monsters that our nation needs to protect its citizens from. Terry Lynn McClintic is a dangerous predator who is repeatedly engaged in violent altercations both within society and while incarcerated, boasting of not being able to do more damage. I would like to ask you, with no ill will, one question, though if I may. From father to father, could you kneel before your child's headstone, knowing they spent the last 3 hours of their life begging and pleading for mommy and dad or daddy to come and save them, alone and scared? Can you sleep soundly knowing there is more injustice unfolding before you? Is this enough to remember that not all issues are political, some are moral? God bless, and I pray for you to do the right thing, which is to ensure this injustice is reversed and a child killer is returned to prison to finish her sentence behind bars. Thank you for your time. So, that was Rodney's letter to Mr. Trudeau. This is going back to 2012 for some history. And it's rough. Quote, the title of the article is Tory Stafford Murder Trial. Terry Lynn McClintic describes killing little girl. Quote, there's no soft place to land in any of this ghastly testimony that Terry Lynn McClintic delivered in a quiet, halting voice from the witness stand Tuesday. Entire minutes of silence passing between questions and answers. It is a wrenching narrative that can't be told with dignity for the victim or sensitivity of her parents, both of whom listened with expressions of horror and excruciating pain. These are the images they will carry to their graves, and Tory's voice in McClintock's mouth. Quote, don't let him do it to me again, the child begged. Stay with me, she pleaded. McClintic ignored Tory's screams, walked away from the torture being inflicted on a child, turned her back on the youngster she'd procured. And then McClintic said she'd killed her. Quote, I went back to the vehicle and I savagely murdered that little girl. It just hung there, inhumanely, so beastly a crime. I'm just skipping down here. She jumps forward and states, I started kicking her. A garbage bag, one of those McClintic had bought earlier, was placed over Tory's face. Who put it on her, she was asked. I believe it was me. Then, in a passive voice, she was struck with a hammer. Gowdy, who struck her with the hammer? McClintic, me. This is the Crown's witness, their key witness against the accused. Then Rafferty, McClintic testified, began putting the rest of her in garbage bags. He yelled at me to help him, that I was in just as far as him now, so I helped him. Together, the court heard they buried Terry under a pile of rocks beneath a tree. The child's remains would be found 103 days later. Here's Justin Trudeau defending this movement of this prisoner and keeping this prisoner in a healing lodge. And we'll get to the healing part. Well, okay, we'll get there now. So here's a link from Global News, what you need to know about healing lodges. And the healing lodge Miss McClintock's at is Okimwa Ochi. It has 30 beds, and in 2012, it operated with 65 employees. The facility offers both single and family units, and inmates who are mothers are allowed to have their children stay with them. Isn't that interesting? That she's allowed, somebody who's capable of doing that to a child is allowed to be anywhere near children? I don't know. That this was 2012. This is 2018 now, so I'm not sure if the Ochi or the Okimwa Ochi Healing Lodge still allows family units or still has them. I've seen tweets out there that speculate that they do. I don't know for sure. This is the only information that I have that says children stay there. So I'm not saying necessarily that Miss McClintic has access to children at this point in time. But I'm saying is a facility that is this in this structure, that is designed with this structure, is this the best place for somebody who's done that? This was on the House floor yesterday, a couple of days ago, September 26th. And we're going to watch it all because I think Canadians for once should listen to Justin Trudeau and pay attention to this question and this answer. Justin Trudeau is some piece of work.
The only political games being played in this House today are the word games being conducted by the Prime Minister of Canada on this very important issue. Mr. Speaker, Terry Lynn McClintic helped lure Tory, hit Tory 3 times in the head with a claw hammer. She was a lookout while Tory was raped and then helped place Tory's body in a garbage bag. The Prime Minister knows full well that he has the power and authority to change this case in an instant. Why will he not use his power and authority right now to do the right thing for Tory's family and the right thing for society?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
I hope Canadians pay attention to that question and this answer. In 2014, the individual was transferred to a medium security facility under the previous government. This individual is still in a medium security facility today. That question needs to be noticed by Canadians, and that behaviour needs to be noticed by Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, this facility doesn't even have a fence, but it does have cooking classes, Mr. Speaker. The fact of the matter is that the Minister of Public Safety characterized the killer's conduct as, quote, bad practices. When is the Prime Minister going to do the right thing, admonish his minister, and do the right thing for people who care about justice in our society, and make sure that this killer is put right back behind bars?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one of the things we see in politics these days is a level of polarization, as a level of populism that is creeping into our discourse. On this side of the House, we choose to anchor our decisions in fact, in the rule of law, and in due process. This is what we will continue to do. Mr. Speaker, the individual was transferred under the previous government to a medium security facility. She is still in a medium security facility.
The Honourable Member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives' exploitation of this little girl's death is sickening.
And I won't subject you to listening to the clapping that goes on with that, but I think the Conservatives aren't the ones exploiting this death. I think that the Liberals are very, very tone deaf to look at this situation and think it's a political one. Mr. Stafford got it exactly right. This is a moral issue, and having somebody who committed those crimes in a place that is not a maximum security prison that looks like a prison is not appropriate. And anybody who doesn't see that, well, I don't want them running our country. peoplespartyofcanada.ca. If you watched, thanks for sticking with me. And yeah, thanks for watching.